So, good evening. Namo Amida
All right.
Butsu.
Good morning. Namo Amida Butsu.
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too.
So we had a false start there. We'll try
Technical
again.
difficulties.
Take two. Technical difficulties. I love technology.
All right.
Yes, I love technology. Anyway, right. So, yeah, let's do it. Sanbutsuge.
Yeah. So today we're going to chant once again Sanbutsuge, and then pick up our discussion.
I keep pronouncing that incorrectly. I do apologize. Please say it again. The pronunciation. So.
Sanbutsuge.
Sanbutsuge. Yes. There we go.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then we'll pick up our discussion kind of where we left off with the we discussed up to the verse where it talks about the Mani Jin.
Yes.
And
exactly.
So let's pick up the discussion there.
Yeah.
And then continue our discussion a bit, and then we can discuss any related or even unrelated Dharma ideas and questions and so on. So
great. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
So let's I'll share my screen here in a moment. Just bear with me a moment, and so we can follow along with the there we go. So
all right. And shall we start with Gasho?
Yes.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Okay. Let's see. Open my sutra book here. Kogengi Ijin Mugo Nyoze Enmyo Muyo Tosha Nichigatsumani Shukoenyo Kaishitsu Onpei Yunyaku Shumo Yorai Yogen Chosemurin Shogaku Daion Koru Jipo Kaimon Shojin Sanmai Chie Itoku Muryo Shushokeu Jinkai Zennen Shobun Hokai Gujin Jino Kugo Kaitai Mumyo Yokunu Seson Yomu Nin no Shishi Jin Toku Muryo Kukun Kodai Chie Jimyo Komyo Iso Shindo Daisen 願が差物在所法を可動生じ未不下段不正上位解任生じ尿税三昧知恵以上合成特物不行志願一切空空一切大安平死無物百千億万無量大小衆女豪者供養一切使徒勝負不尿愚道検証不可医療合者小物世界無不可け無種鮮度光明師匠変死諸国尿税精進偉人南明ヨガ差物国土第一五種奇妙道場徴税国女内音任務調査がと愛民道脱一切自法内省新年症状意図が国経楽安穏公部信用税が信書発願の日力小所欲実法生存自衛無限上領子孫知が信領軽量心知食読中が行精進 ninju fu namandabu namandabuがんにしくどく平等正祭道法壺大神お嬢あなこナマンダウツ、ナマンダウツ、ナマンダ、ナマンダウツ、ナマンダ。Ah, wonderful. We made it.
Yeah. Yes. That was
Yet
really
again.
lovely. Thank you. This time chanting, it felt the most
Yes.
natural for me anyway, since we've been doing this
Yeah.
together. This
Oh,
felt
great.
the most natural as far as my own sorts of oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The animal realm is joining us again, as usual. At some point,
Sounds like your cat is chanting as well.
Yes, she was. She actually was meowing quite insistently during the entire chanting.
She also likes
Yeah,
Sanbutsuge.
she was joining in. She was.
Wonderful.
Although at least
yeah, well, the more
she
you
was insisting on sitting on my lap as well during this, so she wanted to jump up, but there wasn't anywhere for her. So, but yeah, I'd like to think at least partially she was, and now she's taking control of the actual the actual shared screen. Sorry about that. Anyway, yes,
yeah,
lovely.
well, the more we practice, at least I certainly find, the more I practice, the more natural it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also really helps to chant together we of course are only two people doing the chanting, but if you're actually like in a space or a temple or some place where you're joining other people, like a group of people chanting, it can be quite an interesting experience because your voices everyone's voices kind of join together.
Yes.
And becomes very easy to chant because it's almost like your voice is naturally sort of coming out with the other people around you who are joining in. So it is, historically, of course, chanting is a a communal, how should we say, a community, thing that the Sangha does together. So, and whether the Sangha is 2 people or 3 people or a whole group of people is irrelevant. But yeah, so certainly chanting with someone else is a great way to practice.
Yes, I have experienced. You can only experience that communal parts of it to an extent online. But I have, when I've done online chanting,
right,
with another temple doing an Sanbutsuge service, we did I did experience that to a degree, that sense of
Hmm.
when everyone's chanting and you're all sort of part of it, even though the sound is quite distorting because, if everyone's on,
Yeah.
but it's still to a degree. Although I think I remember experiencing some chanting, and this obviously wasn't in Jodo Shinshu. This
Hmm.
was many years ago
Hmm.
when I visited the Himalayan Institute that was near my home in Pennsylvania. Um,
Hmm.
we were fortunate enough in Honesdale, Pennsylvania, there was the Himalayan
Yeah.
Institute. I don't know if it's still there actually, but I did some retreat weekends there and stuff. I think I even did a week-long kind of retreat there once, and
Hmm.
so at some point, different classes or sessions that you would take in, there was some chanting. Obviously,
Yeah.
it wasn't all Buddhist. There was some Hindu. I think there was some
Hmm.
Hindu related, but there was some Buddhist. It was kind of mixture, of
Oh,
different.
wow. That's great.
And I always
Yeah.
went for the
Wonderful.
Buddhist things, but mostly. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's.
I'm curious, was it chanting in Sanskrit or was it a Tibetan chant
I
or
think
various?
it was Sanskrit. Yeah, the Sanskrit, definitely
Okay,
Sanskrit. Yeah, so
great.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it is true. Online, does have its limitations in
it
terms of
does,
that, but it
unfortunately.
certainly is better than nothing, I think.
Exactly. You know what? I just realized I should have done this when I was because oh no, maybe not. There we go. I don't know how to control it that way then. Anyway, so shall we go resume the discussions
Yes,
of
let's.
the 1 sec. I need to scroll this down to scroll down the other. This does make it a bit tricky. Go.
Yeah,
So
you're
yeah,
dealing with multiple scroll bars
yeah.
there.
So trying to
Always is a
maximize
challenge.
how much, yeah, I can get on the screen at once. Probably not too much. Okay, so I'll just do it best I can.
I
All right.
think
So
with the full screen, you may be able to use the arrow key to change
yeah, I just tried
the
to do that. It
page.
didn't seem to work. I tried that. It didn't
Oh,
seem to
really?
work.
Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, let's just go from here.
Yeah, sure.
So
Let's do
we
this.
were let's see if I can find the passage where we left off where it mentions equal to the Dharma King. We were talking about that. The Dharma King.
Hmm.
That's not just a little thing. That's what we were
Mm.
talking. Remember, the Dharma King is a pretty. The Chakravartin
Yes.
King is a pretty major. So when it says when Dharmakara Bodhisattva became a Buddha equal to the Dharma King, that's a pretty major
Hmm.
reference there. Both the Dharma King aspect of it and the Chakravartin. Anyway, where is
I think it might be a little bit above is where it talks about the Mani gym.
Oh, we got a bit further along. Maybe
I think we got as far as the Dharma King, and then the verse
maybe
above
that
may
was
have
it.
mentioned.
Maybe that was it. That's
Yeah,
where we got to was the Dharma King. Yeah, maybe I was remembering it
yeah,
wrong because I thought I remembered discussing that.
yeah. We did, and I think that's
So
where we stopped right
okay,
there
if
with the
that's the
vow
case,
to.
then maybe I don't think we did go into as much about the Dharma King
No,
as I wanted to about that. So I'm gonna just bear with me a sec. Just want to bring up
sure.
um, the Dharma King stuff that I pulled up and see if yeah, there it is. The good old Tibetan Buddhist encyclopedia. It's a good source.
Yeah,
It's a really good source.
it is indeed.
So the Dharma King, someone who rules the Dharma. There are two types of Dharma Kings: worldly Dharma Kings and true Dharma Kings. Worldly Dharma kings are so named by worldly sources, while true Dharma kings are designated by the Buddhas and have the full power of the Buddha Dharma with which they can help living beings. True Dharma kings have mastery of the 5 types of inner tantric initiation, as well as the 5 vidyas and the sutras and the tantras. So yeah, so that's pretty interesting. The designation.
Yeah.
The worldly Dharma king must be. I'm wondering if that is this Chakravartin. 2 types. Yeah, it just does the same. Just takes you. That doesn't.
Yeah,
actually,
I would think so, probably.
I think the worldly Dharma king is probably the Chakravartin, because that's like the secular, quote unquote, not secular, but the that's more the the actual worldly power, temporal power, rather than the spiritual power. Even though there's a lot of spiritual power behind the Chakravartin king, there's a very major religious significance to his coming. But the true Dharma king is so designated by the Buddhas. So that probably is what's being referred to here as the true Dharma king.
Yes, in Sanbutsuge, in this verse, I would say it's certainly referring to Dharma king in the spiritual sense, right? And I think too, there's this, I might have mentioned this last time we discussed this verse, but there's a famous, when King Prasanajit came to visit Shakyamuni, and Shakyamuni says to him, you are the king of the world, the king of this world, and you beat the drum of birth and death. But I am the king of the Dharma, and I beat the drum of truth.
Yes.
And that's the
great.
meaning of the king of the Dharma king, right? It's also one of Shakyamuni Buddha's titles, right?
Exactly. And he just has defined the 2 different Dharma kings there, I think, as well, in that.
That. Secular and the worldly sense, and then also the deeper, the spiritual sense. And if you think about it, it's interesting because the irony here is that Shakyamuni gave up his kingdom. He renounced his throne.
Kingdom and the throne, yeah.
Right, and left behind. He left the royal life, the life of the worldly king behind. But he says to Prasanajit, I am the king of the Dharma, and I beat the drum of truth, which I always thought was incredibly powerful. And
yeah, that's I love that. I'd forgotten about that passage. I love that passage. I'd forgotten that. Great passage. Can you read it again? Can you just read it again? So I think that's very powerful.
Yeah. It's I'm saying it from memory, but
say it from memory, yes, please.
Yeah, when King Prasanajit, he comes to visit Shakyamuni, and I forget what the occasion of his visit was, but and he was a great ruler, had land, the kingdom, many people serving him, an army, and just a world-turning monarch in a sense,
exactly.
Right?
Actually, yeah.
And he comes to Shakyamuni, and Shakyamuni tells to him, you are the king of this world, and you beat the drum of birth and death. But I am the king of the Dharma, and I beat the drum of truth.
Boom.
Yeah. And I think the idea of a king or a ruler who rules according to the Dharma, in one sense, is that like the Chakravartin king or ruler. I think you have mentioned this as well, as it could be any ruler who rules according to Dharma principles, right?
Exactly.
Like I would say,
there's different levels of it. There's different levels of the Chakravartin king. There's like, Ashoka was considered a Chakravartin, for instance, I think, in that sense, Dharma king sense. There's the Chakravartin king that comes at the highest point of the ascending kalpa, so the next one will come just before Maitreya, I believe. There'll be and that's the one that has the seven
treasures.
Treasures. That's it. Seven treasures, and one of them being the wheel that allows, that's the sign that it's come. First of all, people see this wheel, this massive wheel or sphere or some kind of amazing flying object or interdimensional object, we'll call it. Certainly identified from the descriptions. So it's an identified flying object, but it's huge. It allows him to traverse the multiverse, basically.
He has like a wheel that lets him travel in any direction and that kind of thing.
And because it's such a high, one of the seven treasures is the wish fulfilling gem, and that allows basically him to have like the perfect economy for all his subjects, basically, according to their karma, but so that all needs are taken care of, for all societies and all. So that's like the big Kahuna world turn, the ultimate universe turning,
the king of kings.
But there's different, levels of the Chakravartin king. So as long as, as you say, it can just, be a king, no matter how big the territory, or if they're using the Dharma principles to govern, sort of wisely, and that fosters the Dharma within their kingdom, fosters the then they, and I would say that applies. That's something I want to talk to you about in our other series. The 10 principles of the ruler, or the 10 principles that Shakti Muni gave, for, and I think of that it's just called leadership, and the 10 principles of leadership, any lead, a Dharma leader, could be, certainly that would be probably a rarity in Mapo, in the Mapo age, but anyway, there's the different layers. So anyway, there's different levels of the Chakravartin king. So please continue. Sorry.
Well, and I think the late Queen Elizabeth the second was, she brought peace and understanding and goodwill everywhere she went in the world. And I wanted to share, did I share with you the photo of her at Nishi Honganji?
No.
With the Monshu, the leader of
I wish
our...
I know about it, because I put a post on Facebook about her passing. One of the things I did mention was the shark, the 10 principles and the Chakravartin aspect of, you know what I mean, of the ruler. I said she embodied many of these, principles in her rule. But no, I didn't know that. I didn't know she had visited.
Oh, okay. I would have
included that in the pictures if I had the picture that I put up. I would have definitely for my Facebook post about it. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, she visited Kyoto and visited Nishi Honganji, the head temple of our tradition. And there's a picture of her with Prince Philip walking on the very porch of Nishi Honganji, talking to the then Monshu, the then head of the sect. So I'll send you the picture. It's a wonderful picture.
I was going to say, I'm going to look for that now. That's fantastic, and look for information about the visit. want to read about that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
anyway, yeah,
in this
king.
case, the Dharma king, when he says equal to the Dharma king, he's of course addressing Lokeshvara Raja Buddha, right? This is, to set the context, of course, this is still Hozo Bosatsu, Dharmakara Bodhisattva. He has just given up his throne like Shakyamuni did, or would do, and is now declaring his intention to become a Buddha, to the Buddha of his world, Lokeshvara Raja Buddha. And I vow to transcend life and death and free all beings. This is the basic fundamental aspiration, right? The compassionate aspiration. Not only, I think we talked about this last time too, but it's worth saying again, not only to free myself, it's not just that I want to escape, the Buddhas, their deepest desire is to free all beings, right? So
yes,
this is where when Shakyamuni left the palace, he said to his companion, I'm going out not just for my own sake, but for the sake of everyone here, and I'm going for your sake as well. I'm going to find the way of freedom for all beings, right? So this is something where if you don't, a lot of people, I've seen critiques or criticisms of Buddhism, it's like, well, the Buddha, like, he abandoned his family and he abandoned his son and went off and sat under a tree and never went back. This is like a criticism, and especially from some fundamentalist, Christian circles. I have seen this critique, but they don't understand the story, which is that the Buddha, having become enlightened himself, he then goes back. He returns to the palace and demonstrates to his father that he is indeed the Buddha, and then his son is also ordained. So he didn't like abandon his family, on the contrary, he had to go out to find the path to liberation for
all beings, including his family,
all his beings, including his kinfolk and family and so on.
Yeah. And didn't his wife become one of his first followers? Didn't she?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
One of his first disciples, I thought.
Yeah.
Yep. So
there's a great.
I don't think there's any greater way that you can. The opposite of abandonment is actually making your family, become your disciples. Like, what greater thing can you give your family than the gift of, that spiritual gift of the Dharma as a Buddha?
Right.
Anyway,
but there are people out there who apparently don't are not familiar with the story of the Buddha, and they should read the it's called the Buddha Karita. There's actually a good English translation, but it's the traditional poem of, it's kind of a verse form biography of the Buddha's life, and that is a really good reading. It's a great. I've read it a couple times, I think. Actually, the English translation is published by the Bukkyo Dindo Kyokai, the what's it called? The Society for the Promulgation of Buddhism. And I can send you the link to that. There's a free PDF, so you can read it without having to buy the physical book.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yes, please. Yeah, yes, please. So, I mean, one thing I want to say about this is, the way that for us in the Jodo Shinshu context, this, I vow to transcend life and death and free all beings. That's the ultimate, wisdom and compassion of the Bodhisattva, the Buddha. That's and
Right.
essentially the Bodhisattva vow, is the four.
Yes.
But in Jodo Shinshu, my understanding is we don't really take that vow. The way we fulfill that is through going to Pure Land. The way we fulfill that is the way we can't save beings by our merit. We're not transferring our merit to anyone. We have no merit to transfer to anyone, in fact. And so we're not taking the Bodhisattva vow. It's Amida Buddha's merit that from his Bodhisattva vows that bring us to Pure Land, and the power by which we then can transcend life and death and free all beings.
Yes.
Is
well
that
said.
right?
That is exactly.
So we're not
exactly so.
We don't take the Bodhisattva vows like in other forms of Buddhism, in other schools of Buddhism. They do.
Right.
Other Mahayana.
Do, yeah.
And other Mahayana schools of Buddhism, they will take. You are meant to take the vows, and incorporate those into their practice and their just their psyche and their living. Whereas for us, that's Nembutsu. It's
exactly
Nembutsu.
Yes.
Nembutsu vow, the primal vow, the name, Amida's power, Amida's merit, does all of that.
Yes.
And it's by his power we transcend life and real being. So is that true? Because I've heard heard
that's exactly so.
People who say they're Jodo Shinshu Buddhists say that they claim to have taken the Bodhisattva vow or take the Bodhisattva vows seriously. And I always thought, I'm not sure about that, if that's something that a Jodo Shinshu.
Yeah, we don't take the vows, as you said, as you pointed out, the way other schools do. So in this book, for example, our service book, there's no Bodhisattva vows text that we recite as though those vows were our own to fulfill. And the reason is because that's the heroic path of the Bodhisattva. So Dharmakara here is taking that heroic path of not just making the vows, but you have to fulfill the vows. You have to practice to realize those vows, right? And that's something that we, meaning I cannot do. So we seek to in Jodo Shinshu, we seek to realize Shinjin, and as you said, it all comes from Amida Nyorai, Amida Tathagata through Namo Amida Butsu, the Nembutsu. So the direction is, reversed, and we then share that experience or that the truth of that Dharma with others, and that's how Amida's working. Well, really, Dharmakara's working right here. The working of that vow we made is now working on us. So
as we
should see ourselves, so we should see ourselves as actually the objects of this vow that Dharmakara is making right here to transcend life and death and free all beings. All beings means you and me. And
exactly
all beings, right?
And it's, and the Bodhisattva vow, the kind of Bodhisattva, that part of the cycle is built in to the vow, is built into the primal vow, it's built into us going to Pure Land. It's the what is it, the merit or the virtue of going forth, and the virtue or merit of going and return.
Yes.
So we're not just going to Pure Land to hang out and just go
right,
and give offerings to Buddhas and, you know,
Yeah.
bodhisattvas and things, although that's, you know, part of what we'll be
Mhm.
doing, but we're meant to come back in multiple forms,
Yes.
multiple
Yes.
Buddha and bodhisattva forms. So it's
Mhm.
that part of the bodhisattva vow is built in. That
Right.
part of the
Right.
cycle of being
Absolutely.
of that is built into um, Amita's working.
Right. The
Name.
working, the there and back
Yeah,
working of Amita's directing of virtue. So yeah,
right. That's it.
once we are born in the Pure Land, we then immediately attain awakening, full enlightenment as Buddhas, and then we immediately return, right, to this world and we become part of Amita's, of the working of that light of infinite compassion and wisdom. And so yeah, that is when we then become, you know, bodhisattvas, as it were, returning to this world
Exactly.
to save all beings, as Shinran says in Tanisho, right? He says, I can't save beings the way I want to. By being born in the Pure Land, then I can save, you know, beings everywhere just as I wish.
Exactly. Exactly. We also, another similarity of the bodhisattva path that's built in to the vow is when Shinjin arises in that one thought moment,
Mm-hmm.
we attain to that. I should say, we are attained to the state of non-retrogression. So it's
Right. Yes.
another aspect of that bodhisattva cycle that's fulfilled by Amida, that's done by
Right.
Amida with us.
Yeah.
We attain non-retrogression, and in the next life, we are the next. You know, after we die
Mm-hmm.
in this, you know, we're born as a Buddha in Pure Land.
Right. Yeah, the stage of joy, right? The first and most important of the bodhisattva stages is the stage of non-retrogression,
Exactly.
where, as Shinran says, it's the joy of knowing that one shall attain what one will attain. So it's the certainty of knowing that
Indeed.
you are on the the ship of the
Born man walking.
and there's no born man walking.
Born man walking.
You are a born man walking. Yeah.
Skipping and hopping down that hallway.
I love that. I absolutely love that phrase because
Yeah.
it expresses the joyful kind of
Yep.
the
Yeah.
amazingness
It's the opposite of the
being,
dead man walking, you know, taking a walk
it
toward
really
the
is.
death chamber, you know, the
Yeah.
execution chamber, you know, it's birth man walking. So it's a
We're
joyful
walking towards
hopping
the
and a
Pure
skipping
Land. Yeah,
toward Pure Land. Not that we're doing that all the time, obviously, but there's
of
an
course, yeah. There are
underlying
ups
joy.
and downs.
Yeah, exactly. We're still in samsara, still Mapo, but
Right.
there's an underlying joy there. There's an underlying here in incomparable joy, I would say.
Indeed.
So shall we? Is there anything else you wanted to cover on that, or should we go on to the next?
No, I think let's go to the next verse here. And okay, shall I read it, or would you like to read the English?
No, I'm happy either way. If you
okay, I'll go ahead and give it a try.
Please.
Among virtues of dana, readiness, discipline, patience, and endeavor, the highest shall be deep meditation in wisdom. I will become a Buddha and completely fulfill my vow. I will bring great peace to all who are in doubt or fear. Let me briefly look at the alternative translation while we are pondering that.
Shall I just say what my first thought about
Yes,
that
please
verse?
do.
The one, the highest shall be deep meditation and wisdom. That's very Buddhist. That's of of all the virtues of dana, readiness, discipline, patience, and endeavor, the highest shall be deep meditation and wisdom. It just struck me as a very Buddhist thing to say. An extreme, that's that especially the self-power Buddhist path, I thought, because it's all about the mind stream. It's all about clearing the mind stream, cultivating the mind stream.
Right. Here's an alternative translation too that might be a little enlightening. So,
right.
My discipline in getting dana, mind control, moral virtues or shila, patience, kasanti, and effort, virya, and also in meditation, dhyana, and wisdom, prajna, will be supreme and unsurpassed. I vow that when I have become a Buddha, I shall carry out this promise everywhere, and to all fear-ridden beings shall I give great peace.
That makes them there's a bit more equanimity there. There's a bit more sort of equality between all the different. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. This one makes it seem like the highest shall be, of all these virtues, the highest shall be deep meditation. Whereas that one, it doesn't. That other translation,
it's a little
that,
different.
but there's a different nuance there to it. That these are all part of that almost. These are all part of that, and this is together the highest almost. It almost seems like, do you see what I mean? It just has a different, very different ring to it.
Yeah, can I see the Japanese above the
sure,
English really quick?
Oh, sorry, I should have shown.
Let's see. It's this one would be Gosei. Let's see, Fusei Kainin Shojin Nyose Sanmai Chie Ijo Gosei Tokubutsu Fugyo Shidan Isai Kuku Isa Dai An. Yeah, it's probably a different interpretation of the Japanese. So, but I think the basic meaning here is these are the paramita, right?
Yeah.
These are the paramitas, the preeminent, the ideal practices of the bodhisattva that those bodhisattva must perfect, right? And so he's basically affirming those and saying that they will be perfected, and then he will become a Buddha, and completely fulfill my vow or vows, and then bring great peace to all who are in doubt or fear. I really love this line as well.
Yeah.
All who are in doubt or fear.
Exactly. I'll bring great peace to all who are in doubt and fear. That's everyone. That's exactly. A day in the life of the bamboo.
A day in the life
doubt
of
and
bamboo,
fear.
Yeah. And so through Amida Buddha, who is, of course, Dharmakara, having become Buddha, Amida, we can experience great peace as who we are. We don't have to change who we are. As we are, we can experience great peace of mind through the working of the vow and Namo Amida Butsu. So that's what this line says to me.
Yeah, it's not saying after I make them Buddhas either. It's not defining when that peace is going to happen.
No.
It's not saying or implying even that Well, once they're Buddhas, yeah, of course,
Right.
it's not giving a time scale there. So it's, it's saying when I become a Buddha and completely fulfill my vow, I will bring great peace to all who are in doubt and fear. It doesn't say
Mm.
when that's going to happen. It just says, I'm going to bring that.
Yeah. And I would say that that peace is something that we can experience here and now.
Mhm.
So this is referring to
That's what I was
the
getting at.
peace of mind. Yeah,
That's what I was
exactly, as
getting
you're
at.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is the peace of mind of Shinji, right? Of entering the ocean of the vow, of letting, as Shinron says, letting my heart and mind flow into the ocean of
Of the vow.
the vow, and then being grounded on the Buddha ground, he says. So there's a peace and a stability and a refuge in that we are
Yeah.
given, right?
Yeah. I'm going to say it though, right? But no
Please
big
do.
deal. No big, nothing special.
Well,
I have to say it every time. It is something special. It is. Sorry, I couldn't
it is
resist.
indeed.
It is something special.
It is the
It's
most special of special things, I would say.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah. I can't think of anything better in
Yeah.
life. I can't imagine something greater than
Right.
what comes with Shinjin. I can't. There's nothing I can conceive.
Mm.
And I can't even conceive that fully because it's something I'm still talking about. I wouldn't say I have settled Shinjin as yet, but I cannot conceive of anything greater than that, than the different things that come with
Yeah.
Shinjin, with being with Shinjin arising, with being given the Buddha mind, and simultaneously having the Buddha mind, but still being a bamboo, in this life. I can't, there's nothing I can imagine that's a greater thing. I can't come up with anything. Even the greatest things that I've imagined about that Chakravartin king, that we were talking about earlier, because my imagination, this is one of the things I love Buddhist cosmology. And so I can imagine a great many great things about that highest state of human, things of the highest point of the ascending, of being in an ascending kalpa, and what that must be like, things kind of everything naturally working together, working, everything is, technology is probably completely healthy and blends with nature, and you know what I mean, and governance is probably quite natural with the people, and do you know what I mean? It's I can imagine, I have a pretty great imagination, as you know, and I can imagine a great many amazing things, but this surpasses that. The anything I've learned about Shinjin and the implications of Shinjin arising, and that gift of Amida, and that one thought moment, is a greater thing than anything I can.
Well, that's why Shinron says it's unimaginable. Fukasho, fukasetsu, fukashigi.
Exactly.
It cannot be imagined. It's beyond description, beyond.
Greater than the Deva realms as well. I've imagined those as well. The highest, the states of both within the desire realm and above. Into the form, the Rupa Loka and Arupa Loka, and imagine, but that's that this is still greater than that to me, because I can relate to it. I can't really even imagine the other, the Rupa Loka or the Arupa Loka actually. Only to think, wow, that must be what a state that must be. But this just, and obviously, the Buddha mind surpasses all of this, But I mean, Shinjin is the Buddha mind, so that's why it does surpass all these things, because it is actually the true mind.
And it is also Buddha nature, which is also,
In
of
Buddha
course, the Buddha mind. Yeah, it's truly, maybe we should make a new phrase. Shinjin is not simplistic and very special.
Yes.
It's a phrase to
Yeah.
offer a counterpoint.
Exactly. Oh, definitely.
Not simplistic and very special.
And very special. It's the highest specialness. The most special. The most special, complex, and the most special.
Yeah. All
Anyway,
right. Well,
right,
should we
so,
look at the next verse?
next
One more
yes,
verse?
Definitely. Yeah, let's do that. Do you want to see the Japanese first, or
let's refer to it if there's some question about the translation.
Right. So there we go. So shall I read this one?
Maybe you'd like to read this one?
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. Even though there are a myriad Buddhas and sages as numerous as the sands of the Ganges, and I were to offer homage to them all, it is still better for me to be faithful and strong in seeking the true path, never retreating. Can I read that again? Let me read that again. Even though there are a myriad of Buddhas and sages as numerous as the sands of the Ganges, and I were to offer homage to them all, it is still better for me to be faithful and strong in seeking the true path, never retreating.
It's an interesting translation. Let me read the alternative translation from Reverend Inagaki's translation. Even though there are Buddhas, 1,000 million kotis in number, and multitudes of great sages, countless as the sands of the Ganges River, I shall make offerings to all those Buddhas. I shall seek the supreme way resolutely and tirelessly. So
can you read that again? Okay, sorry.
Sure. Let me hold on. Okay. Even though there are Buddhas, 1,000 million kotis in number, and multitudes of great sages, countless as the sands of the Ganges River, I shall make offerings to all those Buddhas. I shall seek the supreme way resolutely and tirelessly.
So that's more of a both and. That's much more emphasizing the both and, almost again equally. Whereas this is kind of saying, even though there are.
Right. Yeah. And can I see the Japanese now?
Yes. Yeah, sure. It's an interesting
and then
difference.
we will discuss the English.
1 second. Let me just I will try to figure out the navigation on this thing. So that
there it is. Yeah. Keishi Ubutsu 100,006万無料小収入講座供養一切指導小物不入道検証不逆 Yeah, the other translation is probably more accurate here. This translation is kind of trying to say something that I don't think is actually in the original, which is that it's better for him to seek the true path without retreating than to make offerings to countless Buddhas, right? But I think I mean, that is one interpretation. I'm not saying that's not a valid translation, but I think the more literal, or how to put it, non-interpretive translation is just to say that he's basically saying, even though there are uncountable Buddhas, I will make offerings to all of them, and be faithful and strong, seek the true path, and never retreat. So a little difference in the nuance of the translation there. But basically what is being said here is, well, pretty obvious that, the sands of the Ganges is a often used metaphor for something that is uncountable, essentially, in Buddhism, and in Buddhist scriptures or sutras. And of course, in Mahayana Buddhism in particular, there are myriad Buddhas and sages, incountable as the sands of the Ganges. And in the Amida Sutra, it talks about the Buddhas in the different directions and how they all praise Amida Buddha and praise the Pure Land. So that's also, another aspect of this aspect of,
that's true.
Dharma cosmology, right?
Kind of pointing at that sort of indirectly.
Yeah. And so he is going to, make offerings to all of them and also be faithful and strong and seeking the true path without turning back. So
it kind of echoes the never to be abandoned. It's sort of
without regressing, right? He's not going to. Yeah, exactly. And of course, the true path here is, the path that the Buddha has taught, right? The Buddha Dharma.
Yeah, exactly. That was the main thing that kind of jumped out at me was that somehow it echoed, that part that, I mean, obviously it's a very passage, but that never retreat, never retreating, never, it kind of for me it echoed the never to be abandoned, never, for some reason that made me think of that.
I love seeing the parallels and the references and allusions throughout, because there are so many, and it's part of what makes the sutras and of course commentary as well, and Shinran Shonin's writings, our scriptures, let's just say, so enjoyable and exciting to read and to dig into. It's because the more you dig, the more jewels
you find
unearth.
Exactly. So if you mentioned we just do this one more paragraph, I have a question related to just in general liturgy and Hanganji sort of tradition.
Yeah.
So there's, join me in, Gasho, and you do Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Mirabutsu, and that's Namo Mirabutsu, right? And then there's that sort of thing afterwards, almost like an echo. Namandabutsu, Namandabutsu. I've never read about why that's done. I've just imitated it when because it does see it just
the reason
real reverence in it, and that's how I say it. There's a real kind of something from the heart, kind of that second part of it, like the Namo Mirabutsu.
There is.
Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Mirabutsu. That's a very almost like the head part, and then Namandabutsu. It's almost the heart part. You see what I mean? It always made intuitive sense. But I was like, where did that Namandabutsu, pronunciation come from? Where did that Namandabu? Like at the end here, there's another one too. There's a Namandabu.
Right at the very end. Yeah, Namanda.
Yeah,
Namandabu. Yeah.
Namandabu. Yeah. So I wanted to ask about it because I've never really read about why that's done or what that's about. And the only context I've ever seen that in is when I viewed when I've seen people from Honganji
Mhm.
doing, I've never seen that in any other sangha of well, of that was part of Jodo Shinshu.
Mm.
I didn't, I never heard them do it. I've always seen it with people who were
Right.
associated Hangnamji doing it. So I was just wondering what it was, what that's about. Where did that pronunciation come from? That abbreviation, whatever it is,
Right.
and was I right in my little intuitive thing of
Yeah.
that? So
Yes. So, well, first of all, of course, it is, saying Mutsu. Usually, so there's a difference here. In Japan, what happens is there is no formal, well, maybe there is now actually at Honzon, but in a lot of temples, the priest will just simply turn to face the image of Amida, the image of worship, and begin to say the Nimbutsu, and then the congregation, the sangha, joins in spontaneously. And in Japan, there isn't the three Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. You'll never hear that in the Japanese temple.
okay.
And usually everyone just joins in, say the Nimbutsu, and the Namanda Butsu, or Namandabu, that's the way that Nimbutsu is typically popularly said in Japanese. So Namanda Butsu, that's the common pronunciation, like of the typical when you're saying the Nimbutsu in Japanese. What happened in the Buddhist churches of America is people stopped saying the Nimbutsu because of time. Things, just the tradition died out in the middle of the century. People just stopped saying the Nimbutsu. And
Okay.
of course, this is a bit of a problem.
That's a major problem. I'm just sitting here thinking, it's the central thing.
Right.
So
So
the name,
what
is the central thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, there was a problem. So what either Honzon or working with the Buddhist churches of America, I don't know where the guidance came from, but basically they said, okay, well, so to make people say the Nimbutsu, let's have it as a kind of responsorial reading where the priest will say Namo Amida Butsu, and then the sangha will repeat it, and we'll do that 3 times. So that we'll actually be saying the Nimbutsu like we're supposed to do.
Okay, interesting.
And so that is why in a video of any Buddhist Churches of America video, you will hear the 3 Nimbutsus, but then often it will be followed by, especially if the person is someone like me who is used to the Japanese tradition, it will be followed by the more, as you said, the more heartfelt Nimbutsu, which is the Namanda Butsu, Namanda.
Yeah.
Because that's,
I always like that. I love that when I hear them. I hear that.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's okay. So it's that Namanda Butsu is how it's said in Japan. That Namanda.
Yeah.
So, but this other thing of Namo Amida Butsu Namo is 3, and then Namanda Butsu, that's more of a North American kind of something that evolved.
Something that was added in the Buddhist Church of America. Now, of course, it's the same Nimbutsu.
Again. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting.
So that is the story of why you hear that.
I always wondered whether it was something formalized or whether it was something that evolved, or like where did that? How did that come? Interesting. Okay. So in Japan, then, how is when you say please join me in Gasho? Would that even be said? Please join me in Gasho. Would that even be
No,
no? That's a
no.
North
What is
American thing.
yeah, it's a North American innovation. But what is said after the Namu Amida Butsu, so after the entire Sangha says Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, and it's just a natural saying, not Nimbutsu.
In the beginning of the service, like is it, when is that sort of, is it after there's a reading?
Now that I
just
think,
automatic,
right.
like people automatically do it before reading or after? How is it? Do you see what I'm saying? Like when?
Right. Now that I remember, actually,
in Japan,
there is in Japan. I don't know if this is more of a new thing or not, but I do remember now in Chuobuki Ogaku, we would sometimes say gasho, which means, but that means that you should put your hands together. It doesn't actually mean say the Nimbutsu. It just means let's put our hands together. Right. And then it'll go like this. Gasho, everyone puts their hands together, and then Namo Amida Butsu. You just say the Nimbutsu.
Just say it. It's just that's the
just
gasho is
just natural.
Namo Amida.
Right.
And it's Namanda,
and everyone says it,
in Japan, way. And in Japan they say Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.
Yeah, that's the most common way. What you'll notice is everyone says it differently. So
okay,
it's common to say Namanda Butsu. Some people will say it faster, like Namanda, 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 Namanda. Or somewhat people will say it slower.
Yes, I've heard that too. Yeah,
different intonations, different. It's kind of like all of us are different, right? But it's the same Nimbutsu, right? We're all in the same religious community, right? So it kind of mirrors that diversity. So
makes sense. The way for it made it that it naturally seemed to make sense for me when I would say it, like if it was going to have a contraction, do you know what I mean? Was Namida Butsu instead of like Nama, Nama, like O and A kind of blend.
Yeah.
So Namida Butsu, like that's. There's times where I've said it that way, and that was just my own sort of evolution of it. And I always wanted to ask about that, if that was okay, or if do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, of course. You can say some people. You can say it however whatever is natural for you to say it. I mean, it's the same Nimbutsu. So you can say, some people just pronounce Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So yeah, there's all kinds of different ways.
There's another question about this. So and this is an important thing, I think, in the future, I'll make sure I make this distinction when I'm talking about Hanganji. I'll say, Hanganji Buddhist Churches of America versus Hanganji International or Hanganji Japan.
Right.
Because I think there's very different things going on there. But one of the things I see in the North American, when they'll read a passage afterward, it's just an automatic, Namo Amida Butsu.
Yeah.
Like there's this almost like a reverence for a kind of or a spontaneous joy or a reverence for having heard that passage or read that passage. Is that does that happen in Japan, or is that just
that's the same. Yeah, same in Japan. So after reading any text, any scripture, or after reading Rinyo's letter, everyone will say, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo.
Everyone, not just the priest or the teacher.
Right.
Everyone.
Yeah. Or whoever's reading,
whoever's facilitating.
And also the reader. Yeah, that is the same.
Okay. I today when I saw that, I've been meaning to bring that up at some point. So I thought what better place than
great question
than the liturgical listening session to kind of bring that up. So I love these things. I love the liturgy. I love the ritual. I love the learning about the traditions and how things evolve with human beings, and in the human realm. It's interesting. There's a lot to not be so happy about in the human realm. There's an awful lot to be interested in and happy about as
Yeah,
well.
for sure. It's interesting in the Eastern Honganji, they pronounce the Nimbutsu slightly differently. We actually say Namo Amida Butsu,
Yeah,
but they use the older
Namu.
Namu Amida Butsu.
Yeah,
Namu
I've done
Amida
that before.
Butsu.
I've used that before, because that
Yeah.
felt more natural to me. Before I even knew that,
Yeah.
I didn't know Higashi Honganji did that, but I was
Mhm.
aware. I think Jodo Shu does that.
Oh, okay.
Shu do that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and also other Japanese chants. So the daimoku is Namu.
Mhm. Right. It's usually Namu.
Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, and I think I've
Yeah.
heard other ones where it's Namu, and I was like, well, shouldn't it be Namu? Is that the proper pronunciation? Because again, that was another thing that felt natural to me. But I always saw people like yourself or other,
Right.
Buddhist churches or other people, other temples say Namo. So I was like, well, maybe I should just be saying Namo and just be part of the.
Well, there's a
and not
story
say
there
Namu.
too.
Nama, and I try to say it because it's almost like it's not pronounced like Namu. It's like
Right.
Nama. It's more Nama, like Nama, like it's not really ooh, is it? When it's said. So anyway, Nama
It's not a very relevant issue for Japanese people because most people say Namanda Butsu anyway in both.
It's not pronounced almost. That O or the
O or the U
isn't really pronounced, is it? Yeah. So
okay. But
I just wanted to bring all that up because it's something that's been on my mind literally for the entire time I've been in exploring Jodo Shinshu, literally since like whatever in the mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s, since I've been this question, these thoughts, this wondering has been on my mind. So finally asking, better late than never.
I think my understanding is that the original pronunciation in the Kamakura period, which was when Shinran, of course, lived, was actually Namo Amida Butsu. And it changed, it evolved to Namu. It's a linguistic thing. If you know anything about linguistics, then you know about how sounds evolve and all of this. And so based on that research, the Nishi Honganji said, okay, well, let's go back to saying Namo Amida Butsu. And then the Higashi Honganji, sometimes they like to do the opposite of whatever the Nishi Honganji does. So they said,
kind of a yin-yang thing. It's kind of a yin-yang thing going on there between Higashi.
Let's call it friendly rivalry.
Yin-yang, yeah, kind of a balancing.
But all different schools have their own unique traditions, so it's a great thing. I do think we should hurry up through Sanbutsuge so that we can get to Shoshinge, because you will love Shoshinge. And there's a lot of different it's not just one tone,
it's everything.
4-syllable chant.
And it's the entire thing. It's like, isn't it? From what I've read,
everything is
when I've read it through, like the actual English, it's basically all of Jodo Shinshu in one service.
Yes, it's the entire doctrine of Jodo Shinshu
and the history and the like. It's everything. It's the and it's the prehistory history, and it's the it's the whole thing. Anyway,
it's amazing. I love it. It'll be great to get to Shoshinge.
Great. Well, listen, thank you so much. I'm mindful of the time. It's getting late there in Japan.
Oh yeah. So, thank you. It was great.
So fantastic. Thank you so much. This has been another great session of liturgical listening, and I'm eventually going to get caught up. I'm with all my videos. I'm kind of, I can almost see the end of the race of getting everything uploaded. So I'm like current. I'm trying to get to that goal of being current. So I'm gonna upload soon. The next one I'm gonna upload is the next one in our in the in the bamboo in daily life
Oh, okay, great.
video. So, which do you know
Well,
where
it's also good.
where I got that title from? I decided on in the end was the
No,
Buddha.
no.
Was I borrowed that sort of the kind of phrase from the a Buddha or the Buddha in daily life, which is written by Richard Costin
Oh,
of the
okay.
SGI of the Nichiren
Oh,
Buddhism.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
just always
Okay.
loved that title. I mean, when I was I did explore,
Yeah, yeah.
Nichiren Buddhism, as you know, pretty
Hmm.
extensively, and I always liked that title. And so
Mm,
I've kind of used that
great.
in instead of the Buddha, it's the bamboo in daily life. I thought that was much more fitting way. That's
Mm,
the Jodo Shinshu equivalent of.
indeed. Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's good. Well, it's also good to have some buffer episodes too, right?
yeah.
To fill in the gaps.
Exactly. I try to vary them. I try to do like because the most of the longest series, the most episodes we have is the clearing the channels. So I do like two of
Mm,
those and then one of the the
hmm.
next one and two and then one of
Yeah,
another different one. So I try to vary what gets uploaded. But anyway,
yeah.
right. So again, thank you so much.
Yes,
This has been
you're
fantastic.
welcome, and thank you as
Have
well.
have a great evening. Sleep well. Dream well. Dream not of
Thank you.
today.
Yes,
Is
and you
to
have a great
quote
day.
to quote Picard's mentor, "Dream not of today." Anyway, all right,
All right.
all right. Take care. All the best. Namo Midabutsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. All right. Take care.
All right. Bye bye.